Hey everyone, Noah here. I just kind of wanted to ramble today a little bit about something that's been on my mind as I'm kind of getting ready for this next Fallout video. I'm planning on doing it on transhumanism, and so I've been kind of immersing myself into all the literature and media that all surrounds transhumanism. I've come across this interesting, unexplainable conflict and alliance too that's shown up several times, and it's this combination of Buddhism and transhumanism. I just wanted to kind of talk this over. It's a little odd. Both of them have, from kind of a bird's eye view, have similar movements in them, right? They both are seeking to eliminate suffering. They both see that there's a fundamental struggle between desires and the world, and they just have two different ways of going about solving this problem. The Buddhist wants to eliminate desires. This is just from my understanding from somebody who is not a Buddhist, but kind of knowing about other religions. That's what I know, is that you are trying to eliminate your desires because that is kind of the fundamental drive of a lot of this suffering, right? If you desire less, well, first of all, you can't be disappointed, and you're also prepared for whatever comes to you. Whereas a transhumanist, I will admit, transhumanism is a very large label, but seems to want to eliminate suffering through improvements in technology. You want to increase the lifespan, get rid of sickness and disease, feeding everyone, then going on and physically improving someone's body. And somebody might say, well, Noah, where have you seen this kind of combination of Buddhism and transhumanism? And I think it's pretty consistent throughout representations. Early sci-fi novels just drawing from Buddhism in general. I'm not going to go too far into that. Alan Watts being referenced in the movie Her. I think Her is a major kind of cultural milestone for transhumanism. Talking about AI and relationships and non-biological beings and what does it mean for a machine to be sentient. And Alan Watts is heavily associated with like Western Buddhism. We have in Cyberpunk, drawing from Blade Runner, this kind of pulling up some of these similar themes about non-human sources of intelligence. But the featuring of Buddhist monks and Buddhist imagery all through the Blade Runner depiction of San Francisco, and Night City being depicted with significant amounts of Buddhist representation. And so what do we kind of do with this? Why is this so tied together? And it doesn't quite make sense. And so I'm trying to piece this together myself. One other factor that comes to mind is this whole idea in transhumanism about trying to improve your human body to surpass your limits. But I would say that most likely the Buddhist would take would be to say, submit to your limits and let them go, right? There's a certain aspect of the very spiritual side of Buddhism. It's very counter to the very human side of transhumanism. Transhumanism is fully in the physical, material, scientific. Any kind of route to take to go spiritual is all about, the closest you get is kind of putting people into machines. When I hear people talk about who are transhumanists and also Buddhists, they're constantly talking about the science of meditation and the positive effects and the interplay of neurochemistry. And that's really common with people who are proponents of Buddhism in the West. However, it's kind of this really tough shift because it's not a fundamental difference, but it is a temperamental difference that I notice with a lot of the major transhumanist activists. They tend to be strong atheists who want to kind of address this. I think what's his name, Max Moore, I believe. I was reading a paper by him, and he is very upfront on his stance against religion of all types from a transhumanist point of view, saying that it's religion is not a good place to find meaning from. And so he's trying to make an argument that any place that religion has in our society can be fundamentally kind of uprooted and replaced with something else. But Buddhism has the supernatural claims that he's talking about. And so if we take a almost fully secular view of Buddhism, we can begin to understand this idea of like, maybe you can think about enlightenment as putting yourself into a computer, but I really struggle with that, right? Because this whole idea of the Buddha coming to enlightenment and kind of detaching from everything, that is like a fundamental religious claim that is counter to the I want to live forever. I don't see how they're compatible. Because the transhumanist is, it seems to be full attachment. Detachment from your body, but full attachment to the world and to survival. And so, in the detachment of, I can detach from my body parts, I can understand it. But in the attachment to the world, there's a heavy ego in transhumanism about trying to be the one to survive. And Buddhism says, yeah, you know, like right now is not everything. It's like, this is an illusion. And so if you're kind of stuck on this, I'm kind of moving my hands outward, like to be flat. If you're stuck on this level, then you're missing everything that's happening up here with my hands moving up. You're very stuck on the illusory fakeness. So these are kind of some thoughts I've been having. I didn't know quite where to put this. This doesn't feel like a good kind of thing to write down in a paper. And I'm just honestly curious to hear what you all have to say. I'm not an expert in either of these things, but I have spent a lot of time researching and kind of comprehending it. But this has just been a pattern I've been seeing over and over again, and I don't quite understand it. Hopefully, hopefully you all will hear probably much more of me talking about transhumanism. I'll link a podcast that I was in with some friends. We're starting, and the first episode we kind of dig into this idea of transhumanism. This is right after I kind of went through a big binge of TED Talks and articles and speeches, and I'd love to hear what you all think. I think this is definitely a place that I want to kind of talk into. This will be my new nihilism of just like, okay, like let's dig in. Let's actually give some good critique, and what does this kind of worldview provide us? I know this is a little bit out of the regular, meta-ethical theory kind of stuff, and I'll definitely get back into that when talking about transhumanism, but I'd love to hear what you all think, and I'll make sure to try to put that link in there. If it's not there, please remind me, but hey, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have an amazing day.